Tim McCourt is joining us from CMEGroup. He's the global head of equity index alternative investment products. So Tim, today, if all is going according to plan, right, you guys are launching options on the micros.
That's correct. Good morning, Oliver. We launched the micros last night at 6 p.m. Eastern with the commencement of the Globex trading session. And it's been going great so far. We're seeing plenty of liquidity being provided by our market makers. We've seen trading happening in both the micro S&P and micro Nasdaq, with several hundred contracts already trading just a few minutes after the open here. We're off to a great start of micro E-mini options, which, as you noted, is the next extension based on the micro E-mini futures, which were launched a little over a year ago, which has certainly been a tremendous success. With over 350 million contracts trading since launch. It's really exciting to see what the options will do from here.
So why? Who do you want to target? And is this just a way for folks to get, again, just trade their macro market using options at a smaller dollar amount, basically?
That's correct. It's very similar to the micro E-mini futures. The micro E-mini options offer a smaller contract size at 1/10 that of their classic, iconic, older sibling E-mini options. And it really increases the precision by which traders can access the market in terms of trading opportunities or hedge existing exposures. But it's really this idea of scaling up or down in more right-sized, bite-sized increments, where each tick in terms of the futures, each contract is about $15,000. So each tick is a little bit smaller and certainly much more approachable for the active individual trader.
Okay, so the active individual trader, are there other types of traders that use this? Is it implementable to a larger strategy for a portfolio manager that has a bigger, bigger AUM? I mean, are there other ways to get kind of nimble? Is that kind of what you're describing here in terms of being able to specifically target an amount, fill certain gaps?
Absolutely, Oliver. Just like we see with the micro E-mini futures, every customer segment, everyone in the market can benefit from the more precise, smaller size contract. When you think about also some of the market moves that we've seen here in 2020, the ability to more precisely manage risk if you're a trader, or allocate or manage inflows or outflows if you're an asset manager or a portfolio manager, everyone can benefit from the smaller size contract. And what we've seen with the micro E-mini futures and the adoption across all segments beyond just the active individual trader, we're certainly hope manifests into the options. But here on day one, we won't have some of that detail until later today or tomorrow. But certainly to see both retail institutions like yourself and your customers involved from TD's perspective, as well as market makers, we're off to a great start. But we'll have to wait a few days to see some of the reports to see if the asset managers have shown up like they have for the futures.
What will you use to kind of gauge the success of these? I know that you look at volumes quite a bit, but as you have more ways for people to trade on these, is it just the total sum of what you're seeing come across the exchange in terms of either options, different contracts? I mean, how do you kind of gauge at the CME whether or not something is success, if it's good, and whether or not you want to do more of it?
That's a great question. And I would certainly say with volume already in both contracts this early, as well as quoting all night in the S&Ps last night, these contracts are already successful and off to a great start. But when we look at measuring success of new contracts, it's sometimes a little bit more of a challenge with options than futures, because there's so many strike permutations and so many arrays and so many more maturities to quote. So success really looks in terms of robust liquidity provision, which we've already started to see this a few hours into the trading day here, as well as volume, but also when we look at geographic participation. When we look at the micro E-mini futures, the fact that almost 30% of that volume comes from outside the U.S. Is something that we're also striving for in the micro E-mini options. So success has various metrics, but certainly already off to a great start. With the fact that we have volume and liquidity provision across all strikes, all maturities. It's certainly been a lot of fun to watch so far this morning.
Okay. Tim, for those from an investment standpoint, watching CMEGroup, obviously a publicly traded company, what's the business aspect of it? How does this work into the strategy from products and profitability compared to just traditional options on E-minis?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think when we look at the equity products business at CMEGroup, we're very focused on what we refer to as the customer's how to trade decision, and how can they implement their trading strategies, and how do they trade their ideas, and how do they risk manage their portfolio. So this certainly is another example of innovation of the equity products line at CME in terms of offering robust risk management tools and trading products that enhance the participants' ability to access the markets. And this is just, the next iteration of a long line of products that we've introduced in terms of innovation of the market. Where we've also recently announced vol Q futures coming on the micro, on the back of micro and Nasdaq and S&P options. We also have vol Q futures coming in October. So this is also not the last innovation that we have coming out in the next few weeks as well. That's really a central tenet of our strategy, is to develop innovative, cost-effective, and capitally efficient products that the marketplace wants. And I think micros is certainly a great example of that.
Tim, congrats on the launch. Looking forward to watching the trading today. Thanks for joining us here on the TD Ameritrade Network.
Thanks for having me.
Tim McCourt is Global Head of Equity Index Alternative Investment Products at CME Options on the E-mini Micro.